Greetings, traveler. Have you ever been in that situation at work where you finish your day, you've put out all your best ideas into your work, you've done all you can, you get home and you rest for the day. But when you come back the next day, all your creativity seems to not be there. All the recharge that you were hoping to have from the respite after work just didn't come there. In your time off, when you spend some time at home in the evening doing whatever activity you do there, didn't seem to give you anything back. It didn't seem to help you get ready for the next day. And this, of course, doesn't mean that you didn't sleep well or you didn't eat well. You did these things, but still, your creativity and your passion for work is just not there the next day. So, what can we do about this? In my experience, I found this simple test to do to apply to three areas of my life and my career as a game designer that really helped me in this respect. And it was a huge eye opener for me. And I want to share these three ways with you today. My name is Xanthos. I've been working in the games industry for over 13 years now. And I noticed very quickly that after a tiring day at work, I would get home and I would, for example, watch YouTube videos. And that was an okay pastime. I was tired already, so it didn't make much of a difference. But the next day, I felt that I was just as tired as when I finished work the day before. And I thought that was weird. It was really impacting my performance and it was impacting the quality of the work that I wanted to do. Not good. By contrast, I noticed that on the days that I had my band practice, when I was playing drums with my band, even though energy wise I was more tired than, let's say, just watching YouTube because we're playing music, I noticed that that activity, those hours that we spent playing music, really made a huge difference on my enjoyment level, on my energy that day, and most importantly, how well it prepared me to go to work the next day and put out all my creativity and all my best ideas and all my passion for games into my work. So a few of these incidents continued for a while, and then I thought, yeah, I think there's a change here that I need to do. So here's three areas that I decided to look at in this way and how I changed them and how it impacted my creativity. Area one, for sure, food was one of them, actually. So this is not about eating properly or eating enough food or too much and so on. This is not about this. This is about finding the type of food and the way of consuming it that gives me personally the most enjoyment. What do I mean by this? When we go out to have food or when we have food at home, we have so many options. What kind of food to eat, how to eat it. Do we cook it at home or do we buy it ready from the store or do we buy just a quick snack like a sandwich or nuts from the store or fruits and just consume that? Do we go out to a restaurant? Do we have someone at home to cook it for us? There's all these options. And I noticed that going out and eating just didn't do it for me for many years. Yes, the food was, decent enough, but I felt no joy, no happiness. I didn't gain anything from the activity. Also, at home, I could spend a lot of time and prepare this very elaborate meal, but that didn't seem to provide much enjoyment to me either. I noticed I spent too much time to create something that I personally didn't value so much. So I went through several iterations of this, and I'll just share what works for me right now. It didn't work for me always in my life, but right now at this point in time, it seems to work for me well. So cooking breakfast, something egg related, an omelette or scrambled eggs or something like that, is an activity that actually I noticed gives me much more enjoyment than the alternatives. And the alternatives are go out to the store and buy something or get something from the supermarket the day before to have it ready in the morning, or I don't know, go out to a cafe and so on and have my breakfast there. I noticed that I can do all these things. I'm capable of doing all these things, but making my eggs in the morning together with my coffee that I also make myself, although I could just buy it from somewhere, just feels so much better. I feel good making it. I feel it's an efficient use of my time since it doesn't take more than, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to do it. I like the quality, and I noticed that doing it this way just gives me power, gives me more energy at the beginning of the day versus making me feel bad for eating something low quality or making me feel like I'm wasting too much time or too many materials, making something more elaborate. That for me just worked really, really well. So that's just an example. And the thing I want to share the most here is this test. And this test we're going to use throughout this video to check all these other activities that we do. So the test is when I did this activity. So for example, when I made the eggs myself versus going outside and buying a sandwich or something or a sweet bread or something. I did all these activities, and after finishing the activity, so finishing eating the sweet bun or whatever, I would check with myself, am I happier in this moment? Do I have more energy in this moment versus when I started this activity? And if the answer is no, or if the answer is, I don't know, I don't feel any different, I don't feel any happier, I don't feel fulfilled in a particular way by doing this, then that was my indication to move away from this activity and try something else. So when I switched to making my own breakfast, I felt that it just gave me more energy. I felt that applying my skill in this very, very simple dish was fulfilling. I felt good for making it well since I made like, I don't know, hundreds of times by now. So of course I would be better at it over time. Um, I felt that the time investment really made sense for me. It didn't take me like hours to make it, just took 5 or 10 minutes. So that was fine. That was less than the time it would take me to go out and buy something. And I felt good because I knew it was good for me. I knew I was picking good ingredients, so healthy. So all these things together made me feel way better than going out and buying like a chocolate bread or something. So that is the test. And having this test in mind, let's move to the second area where I noticed more energy coming out doing this activity versus other activities. And the next area is working out. So I know that not everybody is working out, but I know that everybody is being told to work out by virtually everyone. So of course it's a bother, right? It's a huge burden on our lives. Why do we have to work out? Why can't we just play games? I think that's very common. It was definitely common for me. I felt this way earlier on in my life. I think until I was 20 something or so, I had never really exercised in any way other than the basic stuff we did at school, the physical education. So why would I start doing this? I tried going to the gym. That was not fulfilling for me at all. I tried cycling. Cycling was okay if I was with friends. It was a fun activity, but by myself, it just happened to not be fun for me at all. So um, I noticed at that time, however, that uh, close as part of my university campus thing, there was this one group that was doing martial arts. So the particular martial art was called Bujinkan at the time. That was back in Belgium. So martial arts are cool. I thought I like video games, and video games are all about martial arts. And I can be a cool ninja or something if I become good at this. So that um, that got me interested in it, and that got me signed up, and I was regularly attending the lessons. And I found out that the most important concept that I want to convey through my work was already present there. That if you're enjoying the activity, then you really don't mind the work you put into it. You don't think about it at all. So just like we play games and we put so much effort into the games, but we never think about it because we're having so much fun. That's what I was experiencing at the at the dojo back in Belgium. So there was some physical activity involved. There was some warm up and sparring and so on, but it wasn't anywhere near the amount of physical stress I felt by going to the gym. So again, why am I mentioning this? Because there's so many things we could do for physical activity, for exercising, but nobody spends enough time to think about what's good for themselves, right? So for me, when people told me to work out, to exercise, that was just a blanket term. That was just a generic pressure. that I felt. It wasn't um, crystallized into any specific activity, and it wasn't spoken of in a way that's fun and fulfilling and interesting to do. So what ended up happening is I started doing this martial art. Uh, I was having a lot of fun with it. I thought that, I'm learning something cool. This is what actual real warriors did back in the day, so that's cool as well. And soon I noticed that because I had never worked out seriously, doing this martial art with my very flabby, very untrained body was just harder than other people I saw in the dojo who were more fit than me. So that got me thinking, well, if I can become more fit like those guys, I could get more enjoyment out of this martial art. And that was motivation for me to start going to the gym. And I didn't start with this crazy routine that's like hours long and so on every time I went to the gym. I just targeted specific areas. And starting small like that was really easy. And I felt the benefit. I felt this force like pulling me forward instead of me having to push. So it wasn't me forcing myself to discipline myself to lift so many weights per day. It was me getting enjoyment because doing these few exercises that I started with would inherently mean that I would enjoy the martial art that I was practicing more, and I would be more effective at it and more awesome and more fun and all the good stuff. So again, the motivation here being a super duper key element of this activity. So again, there's so many types of working out, right? You could go running, you could go climbing, I don't know, swimming. There's all these things. So the important test that I applied here is when I did try all these things, and I did try all these things over time, over multiple occasions, because it just happened so. Um, I would I would think back to it, and I think, I went swimming for an hour. Was that fun? Swimming was fun for me if I did it in the sea, but it wasn't fun somehow when I did it in a swimming pool. So I could only do it in the sea back in Greece, and that I was just not there very often enough to do it. So I thought, swimming is not for me. Not in a pool, at least. It doesn't give me energy, it takes energy away from me. But when I go to work the next day, I feel worse rather than better for having done it the day before. So that brings us to the last activity. And that's the activities I did on my time off that were not food related or exercise related. These are the pure enjoyment activities, just like playing video games, just like, I don't know, traveling and going to museums and all these other type of activities that we do to relax and take our mind off work. So here's what I noticed here. Going to things like, a hotel somewhere far away with a beautiful view, or paying a lot of money for a super expensive meal that's supposed to be very high quality, or I don't know, some other activity like that that lots of people seem to enjoy, or just hiking, like traveling somewhere to hike uh, on a mountain and enjoy the view and all that stuff. I noticed that stuff like that for me meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing. All these things that people praise and they say, oh, you have to go up the mountain and see the view. It's so fantastic. Nothing. No enjoyment, no pleasure, no fun. I didn't feel healthier. I didn't feel, closer to nature or whatever. I just felt I wasted my time and I didn't do anything good for myself. So that's that's my own personal feedback from it. Conversely, I noticed that when I was playing D&D back when I was in high school, that was a lot of fun. It was more than fun. It was fulfilling. Getting together with my group of friends, making the stories for them, conducting the game, seeing their reactions, thinking about the next session, all that stuff, super interesting. Possibly because I think playing D&D is the closest offline practice you can have to being a game designer for video games. But also for the social element, for the feedback. I think it was way, way more rewarding to me than all the other activities I mentioned. So I mentioned this because I actually stopped playing D&D for something like 10 years or so because I was studying and because I was traveling around for studying. Um, and I noticed a profound drop in the enjoyment of my own life and my enjoyment for going to work every day, designing new things for games. It's completely counterintuitive when you think of it that way. But D&D is work, right? You have to prepare the adventure. You have to set up the space, organize everyone, make sure that everybody has their own character sheet and what version we're playing and that they know the rules and so on. It's a lot of work. But I noticed that doing all that work and getting through that experience gave me energy, way more energy than just say, paying some money to go to a hotel for a weekend and enjoy the view. That I would pay to not have to do that. Now, again, this is different than visiting a friend or going somewhere for a specific occasion I'm interested in. That I really like. But just going to a hotel to eat their food and look at their view, count me out. So D&D was one activity that I noticed gave me a huge amount of energy and boost in creativity. And another activity that I really, really enjoyed was playing music. So going to the studio, getting everybody together, organizing, same stuff, and just we're not doing it for any particular reason. We were doing it just for fun. But it's again this activity that counterintuitively takes effort out of me, takes work, takes planning, needs all that stuff. But afterwards, I feel like I've gained something. I felt that my experience doing this thing fed into the rest of my existence, fed into my work, fed into my creativity, the ideas I would get, the amount of energy I had for life, how I showed up at work the next day, the music that we played would give me inspiration for the music in the game. Again, D&D would give me all these ideas for cool mechanics or cool story types or encounter styles and so on. And this test like kept coming back time and time again. So whenever from that point when I realized this on, a friend would invite me for, hey, let's go do something new. Let's try kayaking or let's try, I don't know, bouldering or something or like rock climbing, whatever. It's still fun to do these things if you've never done them. It's a new experience. But I would always, remember at the end of the activity to check with myself and see, did that activity give energy back to me or did it just take energy? And here, of course, video games are themselves a topic that is worth considering. So, which video games did I play? And I felt that I had lots of fun and gave me energy, and which ones felt like just a drain. And a lot of times we do things that are very passive, like watching movies or watching Netflix or YouTube, and we think this is our pastime activity. This is our decompression. Now, I think this can be a bit of a trap because you do get a very, very small amount of positive feedback if you do that after work. So I noticed that if after work, particularly if I was really tired or I didn't sleep well the previous day, I just had no energy to think about something new, um, start an activity, or my friends were not available to do one of the other things that I enjoyed. So I would just watch a movie or watch some YouTube. And there is a tiny amount of enjoyment in that, but I think that amount is just simply not working or just giving your body some time to rest physically, or your mind some time to rest physically. And that tricks us into thinking that that is a good activity to always do. I definitely fell into that trap for a couple of years. I would think that, oh, I'm too busy to like do all these other things. I'm too busy to organize a D&D campaign. I have to do all these things in the evenings and during the weekends, and there's no way I could do it. But that was simply not true. That was, for me at least, simply a matter of time management. And when I managed to sort that part of my life out, then all this enjoyment and all this energy came right back and had a super important effect for me in my day-to-day work. So anyway, that's the three areas of my life that I noticed that checking if the activity gave energy to me rather than take energy from me made a huge impact, not just on my work, but on my, I suppose, personal well-being, both physical and mental well-being. And picking these activities within these broad category, right? Categories, right? So food, exercise, pastime activities, and so on. Being more mindful of that and seeing the feedback you get from these activities helped me immensely. And if that helps at least one person out there, I would be over the moon. I would be extremely happy that this happened. But I'm also interested to hear what your favorite pastime activities or how you find that decompressing and like relaxing after a day is most effective, because I might be able to learn something from you as well. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much, as always, for your time, and have fun.